Action cameras are such a cool invention and a staple for most of us making cycling content, and they've come a long way. My first camera was a GoPro Hero 8, and at the time it felt amazing, but looking back, the quality wasn't that great and the battery life was poor, especially in cold conditions. But nevertheless, I've still made a few films using just a GoPro and a mini drone, so you can definitely make some quality content using just these styles of cameras, and I'll link these films below. But these days I make cinematic bikepacking films, and because this is a big passion of mine, I've moved away from action cameras to high-end cinema cameras and drones, but there's still a place in my repertoire for action cameras. Their main purpose for me is to capture stable shots with their smooth stabilization features and interesting perspectives quickly, like a run and gun style approach. And because usually compared to a cinema camera the quality is pretty poor, the shots themselves have to be interesting. And it doesn't get much more interesting than this. This is the new Insta360 Go 3S, and at first glance it looks like pretty much any other action camera out there. It's 4K, built-in stabilization, really easy and compact to put anywhere on the bike. You can shoot in both horizontal and portrait mode if you're wanting to do Instagram or TikTok, things like that. However, it does have one very cool feature that separates this from every other camera out there. So what makes this different? Well, it's the camera's size. At first glance, it doesn't look much smaller than a GoPro. However, with just a click of a button, you can remove the camera itself from this body and screen and battery booster. And because it's so small, you can pretty much mount this anywhere you can think of on the bike. You could even clip it onto your hat, onto your t-shirt as a magnet for that, and it's really discreet. Compared to having a big bulky camera, the fact it's so small means you can open up a world of opportunities for different and more creative shots. Let me show you some examples. It comes with this cool magnetic puck which allows for really cool mounting options. Let me show you. If I literally just put this down my jumper like this, I can then strap the camera to the front like that. Put that away, looks pretty discreet, and meaning I can pretty much mount it anywhere that I've got clothes on. So I could put it on my shorts, on my socks, on my shoes for really weird and creative shots. And what I really like about this is its discretion. When I'm out doing my bikepacking films, if I'm going into a supermarket or a hotel and I've got my massive cinema camera, it's pretty obvious that I'm filming. Whereas this, you can pretty much go about your business and most people won't even notice it's there. You can, of course, leave it shooting portrait if you want to do Instagram or TikTok, but for myself, I shoot YouTube mostly, so I'll be turning it that way. Out of all the mounts that come with this, and you can buy loads of different accessories, I actually really like this one, the magnetic one, because it's just super easy. You don't have to screw it onto anything, you don't have to faff about, you can literally just stick that down your t-shirt, put it in your hat, put it in wherever you want to, stick the camera on and you're good to go. Now that's cool and everything, but there are loads of other options if you wanted to be a bit more creative. I really like this clip, just like the magnet. All you need to do is take it off and it sticks on, super easy. And because it's a clip, it gives you a little bit more options. You can clip it onto things like the spokes on the bike, or you can put it on top of your t-shirt or even onto your hat, turn it whichever way that you want, depending on what you're shooting it for. Really nice. And if you're wanting to mount it to your bike like you would any action camera, you can use a clip like this. It basically just goes around the camera like so. You can screw in a little screw and mount it to any action camera mount, like a GoPro mount like I've got all over my bike. But because it's small, you can mount it in more interesting locations. Let me give you a few examples of what this camera can do because of its size. The first is POV shots. Because it's so small, you can clip it to your helmet or your hat, and it gives a great first-person view. You can also mount it to really hard-to-reach places, like the back of the bike overlooking the cassette, or underneath the bottom bracket, either facing the back or pointing forwards where your front wheel's going. Really interesting shots for B-roll. Here I actually mounted it to my shoe using a clip. I thought this would be really cool if I was doing a descent or something. It's so small you can even attach it to bottle cages and have it pointing down at the gears. And using the magnet you can pretty much attach it anywhere, like your bikepacking bags or your front harness. And I can safely say this is the only camera I can fit into a bottle. It's been really fun giving my 2-year-old this camera to see his perspective on life. And because it's so small, it's not bulky, it's really easy and discreet for him to use. We've even had some fun attaching it to Thomas the Tank Engine. And because this has a magnet built into it, you can stick it to your car or your van without using a mount at all for some really interesting shots. And it can even be used as a webcam. There are loads of creative uses for this tiny camera.
So that was the Insta360 Go 3S. If you're looking for a compact action camera that does a bit of everything, this is a really good option. However, if you're also a little bit like me and you've already got an action camera, maybe with a bigger sensor, with better image quality than this is still worth looking at. Because it's so small, you can get really interesting shots and mount it in places you simply can't with a bigger action camera. So for that reason, I would still recommend it even if you've got some really high-end filming equipment, because you simply can't get the shots that you can with this. Thank you so much for watching as always. Any questions, stick them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.